Hey Jeanette, so welcome to Meal Mondays on my channel. I thought this would be a really fun series to do, especially during the holidays. My aim for this series is just to spend a couple of weeks sharing healthy, delicious recipes on my channel. I've always meant this channel to be a reflection of what actually happens in my real life, including what I wear and am loving, and food is always going to be one of them. So over the next few weeks I'm going to be sharing some healthy recipes. I kind of got the inspiration to do this series when I shared my granola recipe with you guys a few weeks back when I was doing my kitchen tour, and you guys seemed to really like it. So I'll be showing a whole variety of recipes with you, and most of them will be things like lunches and easy dinners. But I thought a great way to kind of kickstart the series would be to do an easy, healthy dessert that you guys can make throughout the holiday season, whether it's for Christmas, for American Thanksgiving. So this particular pumpkin custard is no exception, and it is so easy to make. For a holiday dessert, this is a great pumpkin pie replacement if you don't feel like kind of whipping out either a frozen crust or going ahead and making a crust. I know that can be really time consuming and daunting, especially if you're new to baking. So this recipe will use a really simple technique that I'll teach you how to use, which is called a bain-marie. If you haven't heard of that before, it is just a technique of simmering your custard in a little bit of water so that it cooks to be really silky and not overcooked, and just really with a beautiful custardy texture. Ingredients for this are really simple, probably mostly things you already have in your kitchen. Great little tip that I'll show you is that to make this, you don't actually need any pumpkin. Most misleading title ever, I know, but I feel like if I called this acorn squash pudding or acorn squash custard, you guys probably wouldn't want to eat it because you would think it's really weird. But I pinky promise you, this tastes the same as any pumpkin dessert in terms of that kind of pumpkin fall flavor. You can use acorn squash, butternut squash, fresh pumpkin, or even canned pumpkin puree if you don't have any of the others on hand and you want a quick shortcut. But I prefer to use a fresh vegetable for this, and I just find that cooking pumpkin is so time consuming, and they are so massive that you're going to be left with so much more pumpkin than you would possibly need even if you wanted to make leftover soup. This recipe uses a half of a roasted acorn squash for 12 custard, or a quarter of a roasted acorn squash for 6 custards, which is the recipe that I will include down below because I feel like that's probably the amount most people want to make the first time they're going to make it. I have a dinner party tonight where my boyfriend is making homemade sausage, which is just crazy mess. So I'm making these at my place in the safety and haven of my kitchen, away from all sausage meat, and I'm just going to make them and set them and then bring them over. But they are absolutely great to make ahead. They do need to set for about 4 hours. Just kind of decorate them like I did this one. So you can see I added some pumpkin spice and then some pumpkin seeds and made a little flower, which I think is super cute to serve to your guests. That is pretty much it for my long-winded introduction. Can you guys tell that I like talking about food? If you are interested in finding out how to make these delicious little custards yourself, then keep watching. So for the flavoring and decoration of your pumpkin custards, you will need a small amount of rum, a little bit of pumpkin pie spice, some vanilla. I also like to bump up the flavor of the pumpkin pie spice with some cinnamon, and then I also have some pumpkin seeds just to top them off once they're finished. The main ingredients for your custard are as follows. If you're making a double batch like I am, then you need 4 eggs, but you'll see for the normal recipe you will only need 2 eggs, and that is the recipe that you'll see in the information tab down below. Then you'll need a good amount of milk, 400 milliliters, and 100 milliliters of cream. And so if you're making 12 pumpkin custards like I am, then you'll need 80 grams of sugar, but the normal recipe just calls for 40 grams, which is really not a lot. You have some good quality maple syrup here, and that's actually for flavoring rather than sweetness, although it will impart a little bit of extra sweetness as well. And this is a 1/4 cup for the 12, so you would need 1/8 of a cup of 100 milliliters of cream right here, so you would need 50 milliliters for just the normal recipe. And then right here, funny as this may look, this is the acorn squash that you will need. So I have a half of an acorn squash, which I have roasted at 400 degrees yesterday night because I had the oven on to make carnitas, because yesterday was Saturday taco night. So while I had the oven on, I roasted that acorn squash, and you can see this is half, and it's got some really good color on it, which is great because color is flavor. And just in terms of technical kitchen supplies, they are very simple. So you will need a blender or an immersion blender or a Vitamix, whichever you have. A good amount of ramekins, however many desserts you would like. So today I'll be making a double batch, which is 12, or if you follow the recipe instructions down below, then you will get 6 generous portions. You'll need some aluminum foil and a sieve. You'll need a Dutch oven or some kind of deep pan with some kitchen towels at the bottom to keep your ramekins from slipping around. So putting your custard mixture together is just such a breeze. It's basically just throwing all the ingredients together and then throwing it in a blender. So let's go ahead and do that. So there's my milk, my heavy whipping cream, maple syrup, sugar, 4 eggs for me. After all, a custard definitely does need eggs to set. I'm going to add a healthy amount of rum because this is, after all, an adult party. So I'm going to add about half of my mini bottle here, which is probably about 2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to add a splash of vanilla extract, which is important for that pumpkin pie kind of flavor, that really lovely fall sweetness. And then I don't actually usually measure the pumpkin spice that I add to this recipe. I just kind of eyeball it. It's probably about a teaspoon all in all, but you want to be pretty generous. And then I add about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. This is a good time, if you haven't done so yet, to boil your water for your bain-marie, which is how we're going to be cooking them. I'm going to put on this blender and I'm going to turn the volume off so that you guys don't go deaf, and I will see you in a minute. We are ready to fill these up. I do like to use a spoon to do this because I feel like it can be really messy if you pour straight from the bowl, but if you have better aim than I do, then you might not need to bother with that step. So I'm just going to fill all these up and just kind of redistribute until you have equal portions. As soon as your water comes to a boil, you actually want to reduce that to medium, and then it's time to add in your custards. So fit as many as you can in your pot of water, and you want the water to get up to about the halfway point on each of your custards. And I wish my pot was bigger so I could do more at once. So once you fit your custards in there, you can see they're a little bit crooked, but it'll be okay. I actually want to go ahead and cover it with some aluminum foil so that the steam stays in there. Like this, just to hold down the foil as it cooks, and that will need about 20 minutes until you check them to see whether they have started to set. My little custards are done. They probably look the same on camera, but I tested them with the end of a spoon like this, and if there's a slight amount of kind of bounce back, but not like fully set, like still creamy, they're ready. And what you do is you just basically leave them to cool in the hot water. You don't take it off the stove, but you do uncover it completely, and this will just kind of finish that last little bit of cooking. And it's a really good trick for this recipe because essentially it doesn't overcook them, because an overcooked custard can be quite kind of gummy and it can have a lot of air bubbles in it as well. So if you just kind of let them cool in that water, they'll be perfectly set. And mine cooked for about 23 minutes, so in between the 20 to 25 minute mark, which is perfect. I hope you guys are enjoying seeing my real life food recipes. I think I'm really going to enjoy this series. It's just kind of such a fun opportunity for me to share this whole other side of my life with you. So thank you so much for coming along for that, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!